You know it's finally spring when I cannot film a video without somebody doing yard work outside. Hi, I'm Alex, this is Pucksandpaperbacks, and welcome to my April wrap-up. Seriously, I hope you can't hear that outside. I waited to film this video because I heard somebody mowing their lawn, and as soon as that stopped, something else happened. And this is the only time I have to film this video, so this is what we're working with. If you're new to my channel or my wrap-ups, I do not give books star ratings. I stopped doing that over the years because it just didn't work for me. And I feel that my reviews are in depth enough that I can tell you if I liked it or didn't, and if I recommend it. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's get into the video. In April, I read 5 books, 1,252 pages, and 7.18 hours of audio. It's a random number, but I only listened to 1 audiobook this month. 3 of those books had queer rep. For format, I read 1 ebook, 1 audiobook, and 3 physical books. I'm so happy about that because I want to read more physically, and it's happening more and more, and I will be continuing that throughout the year. Can't tell you about it now, but you'll find out eventually. Of those books, I read 1 manga and the rest were novels. For genres, I read 2 contemporary novels, 1 romance, 1 nonfiction, and 1 fantasy. For publication year, I read 1 2024 release, 2 2022 releases, 1 2021 release, and a 2009 release. For my reading challenges, for Buzzword, both prompts for April were animals, so animal on the cover and animal in the title. I was going to read A Year of the Tiger, I just never got around to it unfortunately. So I was scrambling, and I hate to do this, but I didn't want to have another month where I didn't complete Buzzword. So I picked up the manga Cat Gamer. I am so happy. This was recommended by Leandra the TBR0. She did a video where she recommended cat manga. I'll link it down below. I'll talk about my thoughts on the book later, but I'm so glad I finally got to finish these prompts, and I still have to complete Thing. For Papa Sugar, I completed the prompts a book under 250 pages, a book that is considered healing fiction, and a book with a happily single woman protagonist. For Read Queerly, I completed Food, Robot, and Disability or Neurodivergence. For Transbook Bingo, I read The Prospects by KT Hoffman, which helped me complete the Trans Reading Challenge prompt to read a book with a disabled trans main character. Jean in The Prospects has ADHD. Now onto the books. In the beginning of April, I finished up my Patreon read of Haki and Hijab, Reflections of a Canadian Muslim Woman by Sheema Khan. Every month for my top patrons, they get a vlog of some sort. Recently, I have been sharing spoiler reading vlogs. They recommended me some books. I pulled them out of a little cup and I give a spoiler reading vlog. For March, I picked Of Haki and Hijab, which I had a hard time finishing, which is why I finished it in the beginning of April. This is an essay collection from Sheema Khan, a Canadian Muslim woman, and most of it talks about how Canada was affected by 9/11 and how Muslim people in Canada were affected the most. I really liked having this perspective because when we talk about 9/11, I feel like we don't usually center Muslim people as we should. So it talks about the Islamophobia that was experienced in Canada. And I think that's so important because as somebody from the US, usually we are educated only about the US and the Western lens, but it's never about anywhere else. So I was appreciative to get a perspective. However, I wasn't a huge fan of this. I liked it for what information it gave, but it's just essays from the things that she's written, and I thought that the title was misleading because it's called Of Haki and Hijab and there's only 2 instances that they talk about hockey, and I wanted more hockey. Specifically, I think this would have been better as just like a memoir or something. That's not to say I'm discrediting what she's written. I'm gonna read you the blurb because it just makes more sense. In these thoughtful essays, Sheema Khan, Canadian hockey mom and Harvard PhD, gives us her poignant insights on being a modern and liberal yet practicing Muslim, especially in Canada, tackling a host of issues such as terrorism and fanaticism, human rights post 9/11, Islamic law, women's rights, Shahira and the meaning of hijab. She explains Islam to the greater public while calling for mutual understanding and tolerance. She tells us why Muslims are angry and protests you can't pigeonhole 1.6 billion Muslims, while calling on Muslims to acknowledge the rise of fanaticism. She explains the plausibility of Islamic financing and applies the Charter of Rights to Canada. Can there be Islamic democracy? She asks. And then, will Quebec adopt France's peculiar brand of liberty? Provocative and original, even-handed, and conciliatory, these essays are an important contribution to an urgent modern debate. This sums up this essay collection in a way better way than I can. So I appreciate this for the information and the discussion, because she talks a lot about how everybody can be a better ally to Muslim people post 9/11 and what Muslim people can do to protect themselves. There's a lot of things that I saw in this that sadly mirror 2025. So I'm appreciative that I read this, and I would like to read more from Sheema Khan. My only gripe is there was some language about Palestine that I deeply disagreed with. I didn't like the way that she painted the genocide in Palestine. I think the perspective of a Canadian Muslim woman is so important post 9/11. I was in second grade when 9/11 happened, so I don't have too much knowledge because I was so young, but I appreciate this conversation. I don't know if I would recommend it for now, but I wish that she had a novel or a memoir. I think that would have worked a little bit better here. Of Hockey and Hijab, content warnings are Islamophobia, 9/11 and post 9/11 world, xenophobia, death, murder, abortion, essay, misogyny, and sexism. My reading vlog for April was the reading experiment swapping my phone pickups with pages. I had so much fun with this. I did it for a whole entire week, and I read so much. I completed 2 books, and I read a bunch of trans books. It was so fun, starting with Several People Are Typing by Kasulike. This is from a trans author. It is written in Slack messages, and I had so much fun with this, but I didn't love it. I just thought it was so weird that at the end, I didn't really know what my thoughts were because it was so weird. If you don't know Slack, it's more so used in work environments, but this is a server where you can communicate with people similar to Discord. We're following a man named Gerald who is stuck in Slack. He cannot get out. His body is existent, but his mind and soul are in Slack. It is such a weird book, but I secretly liked it. There were some things I liked about it, and as a whole I just thought it was so weird that I don't even know what my thoughts are. But I would say if you liked Finna by Nino Cipri, you would like this book. I don't think it's for everyone because it's very weird, but I appreciated some of the conversations and just how funny this book was. And it's hilarious because he's just trying to communicate and being like, hey, help me. And they're all like, dude, you're really pranking us. Are you serious? You're gonna just continue this bit? And he's like, no, I need help. I liked this book for the metaphor of the body and disassociating, which is very similar to the trans experience for many people, specifically gender dysphoria. So I appreciated that, but this was a weird one, and I actually do recommend it. Content warnings for Several People Are Typing include some mentions of animal death, brief allusions to sexual content, and allusions to disassociation/gender dysphoria. But my favorite book of that video and this month is The Prospects by KT Hoffman. I'm so glad I finally got around to reading this. It's been weeks since I've read this book, and I have not stopped thinking. Every time I watch baseball, I just think about this book. I need more books like this. This is an adult romance following Gene, the first trans man in pro baseball. It's an enemies to lovers between him and a former teammate, Luis. Luis, I would die for him. I related to him on so many levels. He is an anxious person. He has an emotional support dog, Dodger, who I love. I was laughing out loud at this book. It was just so fun and everything I needed. This is the epitome of trans joy. If you're looking for a pick-me-up as a trans person right now, this book I don't even know what else to say because I gushed about it so much in that vlog that I feel like that's where all of my thoughts are. Just know I loved this. If you like sports romance, you have to read this, especially for the trans joy, and if you are an anxious person like me, I believe you'll relate to Luis. It's funny because I thought I would relate to Jean, and I did at some points, but I related to Luis on so many levels. Internally, he is very anxious about his every move and everything going on around him, especially baseball. On the outside, he's just very chill and laid back. I loved him so much, but I also loved the chemistry between him and Jean. It's structured very nicely. It doesn't feel too insta-lovey. It's an enemies to lovers. Jean can be an asshole, but he is trying his best. I just love this book so much. If you want to know my full thoughts, you can go and watch that vlog because I feel like I share more of my thoughts there and it's more of a concise review. Content warnings for the prospects include mention and detail of a car accident, systemic homophobia and transphobia, and a panic attack on page. This happens multiple times, so just a warning for that. Then I read the manga Cat Gamer by Wataru Natani with translations by Zach Davison. I loved this so much. It was so funny. Another book that I did not stop thinking about. Like, I need to read this whole entire series. I loved it. So this is about a woman who works at an office and there is a stray cat. Her boss asks if anyone can take this cat. Nobody can, and she spontaneously says yes, but she's never had a cat before, so she has no idea what she's doing. It was so funny. If you are a cat owner, you will love this book. It's very relatable. I was laughing so hard because our main character, she's never had a cat before, so she doesn't know some of the things you're supposed to do. Specifically, she didn't even get the cat toys. Like, the whole book is she is focused on playing this game and the cat just keeps bothering her, and it's so funny because she wants to get mad at the cat, but then she's like, oh my god, you're so cute, I can't. And that is so relatable. Like, that is the life of a cat owner, and I loved her growing fondly of this cat. This is a tuxedo cat, similar to my cat Leo. So I had a little bit of a sentimental attachment to this book and relation, but if you're a cat lover, you will love this book, and I cannot wait to read more of this series. It was so fun, and I thought it was a perfect pick for Buzzword this month. And the last book, if you've been following my channel forever, or just recently, you probably know what genres I stick to. At the beginning, you were probably like, Alex, you read a fantasy? What are you talking about? I read Legends Lattes by Travis Baldree, another book that I am now obsessed with. I need to read more books like this. I need to read the whole entire series. I need more. If you could give me any recommendations for books similar to this that I would like, please, yes. If the fantasy is light and I don't have to like think too much about the world, that is a bonus because I cannot read fantasy when I have to think about the world and things. I read this for my Patreon spoiler reading vlog for April. If you want to know all of my thoughts on Legends Lattes, the link to the spoiler reading vlog will be down below. It's on sale for $10, or you can become a part of my top tier, the Bookish bundle. Patreon helps support this channel so much because I'm not monetized, even though YouTube loves to put ads on my videos. It really pisses me off. I am trying to get monetized. Who knows if it'll ever happen. So Patreon is the best way to support me. There are free and paid options. But back to Legends Lattes. I thought I was not going to like this because I don't like fantasy and I don't like world building when it's not contemporary settings. But I am obsessed with this book. I loved it so much. I'm so glad I finally read it, and that I read it because a patron recommended it to me. I was so hesitant because I don't like fantasy unless it's in a graphic novel setting. I like to be able to visualize what everything looks like, and graphic novels make more sense to me when I'm reading fantasy. But I had the audiobook, which is narrated by Travis Baldree, who is an audiobook narrator and a video game designer. I'm gonna need a video game of this. So if you haven't heard, Legends Lattes is a cozy fantasy with a sapphic romance about Vin, an orc who changes careers. I don't know specifically what her job was, but it says after a lifetime of bounties and bloodshed, Viv is hanging up her sword for the last time. So she changes careers. This is similar to A Psalm for the Wild Build, if you've read that. It's in the same vein where the character changes careers to do something way more relaxed. However, I said, yes, sword fighting and being in war and battle is a high intense job, but so is running a coffee shop. I laughed so many times throughout this book. I also liked how it mimicked some real life challenges when you are working as a barista and there are certain customers that are gonna get on your nerves. I liked seeing that, but I just loved everything about this book. I feel like I'm not really explaining it that well, but I just really loved it. I loved the vibes and I was sad that it was over. I need more. I really need a sequel to this book following these characters. Like, I know that there's more books in the series. There's a prequel and a sequel, but I need this again. Like, I need more. I loved this. I loved Thimble. He's a ratkin who bakes. Oh my god, I loved him so much. I loved everything about this book and I'm so glad. Now I need to read more and I'm so happy because maybe this is how I get into reading fantasy. This is the type of fantasy that I like. And those are all of the books that I read in April. Thanks so much for clicking on this video and spending some time with me. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and leave a comment. Maybe let me know what your favorite book you read in April was, or a book you're looking forward to reading in May. If you haven't heard, it's my booktube birthday this month, as well as my actual birthday. So on Patreon, I am doing a readathon for free and paid members where we read some of my favorite books. So if you're interested in that, you do not have to become a paid member. The free member option is there. There's a link down below to my announcement video where I share everything. Thank you to my top patrons for their continuous support. Like I said, if you want to support me over on Patreon, the link is down below. It is the best way to support me, so thanks if you do. If you would like to watch more, I'll link that vlog I was talking about where I swapped my pickups for pages. I'll link it here and you can subscribe there. Bye.